Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sunday Sessions with Gugu. It most certainly seems that the weeks are just flying by as we edge that much closer to the end of the year. That end of the year fatigue may be gripping us all, but that is why we are here as a Sunday Session with Gugu team to lift those spirits while bringing you great lifestyle content. Tonight, we tackle the art of fostering healthy relationships, whether those relationships may be intimate or platonic ones. We'll take a look at how the pandemic has affected our relationships with one another. Our musical guest this evening is a multifaceted arts activist from Tanzania who'll sit down in conversation and render a performance later on in the show. She's worked on a number of creative projects as a writer, a poet, and a curator. We can't wait for that. And as you know, DJ LT is with us this evening with the headline set. Nobody could have prepared themselves for the whirlwind that has been the COVID-19 pandemic. Not only have elements of our professional lives taken a blow, but seemingly the relationships we keep have also been under a lot of strain. It's been reported that the divorce rate in this country increased by over 20% during the lockdown. And it seems as though not only marriages took strain, but other relationships, including family relations, could have been affected by the pandemic. My guest this evening is Pastor Kaya Mapinda, a marriage counselor and officer. Mr. Mapinda is here to talk about fostering healthy relationships and shed some light on how we can maintain a level of understanding within those relations we keep. Dada, good evening.
Good evening to you as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Dada, for joining us this evening.
Appreciate it.
We really appreciate you being here with us.
Yes, yes.
First things first, Dada, what is it that constitutes as a healthy relationship? You know, what are the things that we can break down and categorize as healthy formative relationships?
First and foremost,
Yes.
the healthy standards of any relationship depends, one, on the meaning attached to it.
Sure.
What do we attribute to a healthy relationship as people that are involved? There is no size fits all.
Yes, sure.
The second thing that underpins a healthy relationship is the purpose. First is the meaning. What do we mean? Because a relationship has no prepared standards. You decide yourselves because it is constituted by people that are unique on their own.
Sure.
So number one is the meaning. Number two, it is the purpose.
Sure.
But number three is the character. Because who you are and how you do things has a bearing in the manner in which you connect with another person. Now, that again is important. Then the fourth one are the standards or the values. What values must underpin this relationship?
Sure.
Because the values are what will sustain or keep you together. For an example, some people will have Christian values.
Okay, yeah.
Now, if one has Christian values, the other one has no Christian values. So that relationship is not going to be sustainable. Not because the two people are failing, but simply because their values are apart. They are not the same. They do not believe. Yes, they are together, but they do not believe or subscribe into the same thing. It's just for an example, even religious values. Someone believes in going to church on Sunday. Someone believes in going to church on Saturday. Now, we believe that Saturday is the best day. The other one believes Sunday must be normal day. And the other one says, no. Sunday is a sacred day. Now, those values, those standards, those belief system can affect your relationship negatively. So that becomes quite also very important. The last thing is commitment. There is no relationship that on its own could just be automatically healthy.
Sure.
Simply because a relationship is a connection between two people who were not born for one another, who were not necessarily meant for each other. They relate by choice. They do not relate by design. It's by choice. And anything that is a product of your choice, it requires commitment.
Sure.
You must work on it.
Sure.
So, and those four things are very critical in determining a healthy relationship. Then you are saying, what constitutes a healthy relationship? Number one, durability. If it is able to survive storms, it is strong. You are able to remain together amidst.
Yes.
That's number one.
Sure.
It is able to thrive through challenges. So then it is a strong relationship. But secondly, it is the period, the longevity. We have been together last year. We are still together. We are looking forward to be together next year. Then we could say it's a healthy relationship. But the third thing is exclusivity. How significant am I as an individual or as a role player in this relationship with you? Because if it is crowded, the crowd may devalue or overshadow my significance and my uniqueness in this relationship. So therefore, any relationship that can thrive long, any relationship that can remain healthy, it must be very exclusive. It should be you and me,
Yes.
me and you. We must be primary. The rest should be secondary.
Sure.
Now, the fourth thing is the intention. Where do we want to get to with this relationship? Because remember, why would you have a relationship without a predetermined destination or outcome?
Hey.
I mean, why would you waste your time? Because remember, you are not going to live forever on earth. Secondly, you don't need to relate with everybody on earth. It's too many people to relate with. So therefore, a healthy relationship, even ordinarily a relationship, must be intentional.
Sure.
It must be intentional. You cannot just have it for the sake of having it. It must not be externally driven or influenced. It must be original. I am in this relationship because these are my predetermined objectives.
Sure.
And those must be declared.
Sure.
Again, the issue of transparency.
Yes.
Because remember, when there are no blind spots between us, that develops trust.
Sure.
And trust drives away fear. Ndiyakwazi xa ucaphukile. You don't pretend. You don't put a mask of happiness when you are not happy. You are unable to say you are pleased when you are not pleased. You tell it as it is,
yes.
but with love and sensitivity.
Yes.
You don't have to fight that truth does not need energy. In fact, that truth requires sober senses.
Sure.
People always miss out on telling the truth because people get angry. The truth does not need anger. You must be sober. You must be calm. Because immediately you tell the truth being angry, your anger tends to project itself beyond and above what you want to drive home. So therefore, you must be polite. Then that brings me to two critical aspects that can sustain a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
Your mental maturity.
Sure.
The extent to which you have been helped psychologically, your mental steadiness, uvuthwe kanjani engqondweni, your level of reasoning. Because your level of maturity has a bearing on the quality of decision making. You act out of how you have applied your mind on things. You need mental maturity to manage conflicts. You need mental maturity to stay put. Focus requires mental maturity. Mental maturity helps a person to persevere. Because in your mind, you know, not everything can be achieved without paying a price. Mental maturity helps you not to think that a failure makes you a failure. You can fail even though you are not a failure. You see your failure as a second opportunity to get it right and get it far much more better than your first attempt. Then the second one is your emotional stability. Ube nemizwa ezolileyo. Ungabi ngumuntu okhawuleza ashiywe nguye. Your emotional, how when things happen, zokushiya ungumuntu onjani. Emotionally, how do you respond to things? Because remember, anger is an emotional behavior. Joy is emotional. Sadness, everything. Violence. Violence, I tell you, abantu, when they fight, when they involve themselves that are not expected, it's because they are unable to keep themselves calm, but unstable emotionally. Then they end up committing suicide sometimes. It's anger. So once you get into a relationship, you must check your emotional stability. Ungabiko temperamental. Because this person may not think the way you think on things, and may not, and this person's worldview may be totally different from your worldview. So when you are in a relationship, you are learning, you are studying this person, but at the same time, you are studying yourself. Because the presence of this person in your life gives you an opportunity to expose, to what extent have you worked out yourself. So those things are very critical. That's why I always say, not every woman is necessarily a material to become a wife. And not every man is necessarily a material to become a husband. Because a man can only become a husband when he has a woman. And that woman must become a wife. You cannot be a wife without having a husband. Nor can you be a husband without a wife.
I see.
So therefore, when we talk of marriage, we talk of a relationship between a husband and a wife. And a husband is a married man. It's not just a man. A husband is a married man. And behavioral standards of a man that is not married are totally different from those of a married man. So that's why you hear people say, no, say right, it's a good relationship, but as your material was not chat, we can't take it further. So akufunekanga ke nawe uthi kuba nikwe relationship ningachatanga ube sele umnika itikiti lasemchatweni. Ngoba izstandards zapha emchatweni azizufana neza ngaphandle kwasemchatweni. Remember, the stakes are high when you are married than when you are not married. The level of tolerance, the level of understanding, the level of knowledge, the level of wisdom expected is totally different when you are single. Remember, when you are single, uyakwazi, you hope what is also right, and at the same time you have a room, but I mustn't bother myself much because these things may not work. It may not. But asele uchatile, unento eyi-one, it must work. You don't have a room that it may not work, because if it fails to work, it simply means there's a high price involved.
Sure.
So the issue, therefore, of mental maturity and emotional stability, they are very critical in sustaining and engendering a healthy relationship.
Sure.
So that's why we always say, even by law, akufunekanga abantu bachate bebancinci.
Yeah.
It's because even the law assumes into yoba hayi lo muntu kaloku akakakwazi useyimina. Uyabona, so therefore zikhona izinto ingqondo yakhe engakakwazi ukufikelela kuzo.
Sure. Dada, now in my introduction I mentioned ukubana divorce rate, particularly during the pandemic.
Yes.
Iyeyo increaser than any other years.
Yes.
Yabo. Dada, I want us to delve into the effects of COVID-19, particularly now, let's say, in romantic relationships.
Yes.
What is it about the pandemic that could have contributed to these separations or make abantu feel as though, you know what, I say yole?
Yes.
What is it about the pandemic that did that?
Number one, we were caught by this pandemic off guard. Remember, on the 31st, in our New Year's resolutions, those who made those resolutions, they never figured out that there will be COVID-19.
Nobody did.
Nobody. So, in other words, all of us were caught unprepared.
Sure.
And as a result, in our plans, in our dreams, we had no room for a COVID-19.
True.
Secondly, this COVID did not only lead to a lockdown. Some people lost income. Some people lost their relatives. Some people lost their beloved ones. So emotionally, we have all suffered. So our emotional state was exposed.
Sure.
And therefore, kunzima ke ukuba uhlale uromantic when you don't know whether tomorrow you will be alive or not. When you see the stats going up. So it's a question of ndingajongi mna uba eyami into iphi. Because all of a sudden I read from newspapers, so and so has passed on. Social media, and so and so. So it's a question of saying, can I be the next?
Sure.
So the nature of the challenge yenze sawasusa amehlo kukuthi kwi-relationship safocasa kule pandemic. And the worst part is that this pandemic is beginning yayo was never seen coming. And we are still not seeing the end. We cannot predict. So therefore, uncertainty and fear tend to overshadow most relationships.
Sure.
Now, but secondly, which again is quite critical, a crisis will always come to expose the reality. Ezinye relationship ezivele zi-weak.
Hey, Dada.
Singafane nje sikhole iCovid. Bekuvele kwashola amazulu sombulwa kusombezwa.
Dada, yeah.
Bengucimicimi sifana sikhole iCovid-19.
Hey, Dada.
Kanti ibivele ingaweki. Uyabona?
Yeah.
So let's face that reality.
Yes,
Indoba
I agree.
kwabanye ibancedile because bekuvele kakade into bathi sibane sithatha sidibanisa. But enye yezinto ke encedileyo indoba in a relationship, when all of a sudden you get into a phase that you had never thought you would get into. Regardless of the nature of that phase, you must be able to sit down and say, we are in an era that we have not been into before. What are the implications of us finding ourselves in this era? Number one, who are we expected to be to one another if we are to survive this era?
Sure.
Asizukwazi ukuchila ngesidanga sayizolo.
Absolutely.
Who are we expected
Yes.
to be to each other?
Sure.
Thirdly, together, how can we sail through this phase? And this underpins a relationship regardless of circumstances. For an example, let's say these people are married. One has not been working, the other one has been working.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, these people have a breakthrough. Law, who was unemployed, gets a job. If those people do not sit down and say, ngoku uzawuphangela, bukade ungaphangeli.
Yes.
Ngoku uzawuba nemali, ubukade ungenamali.
Sure.
What are the implications? Because the implications are major. Buzivukela ngexesha lakho. The pace yakho was totally different.
Yes.
Ngexesha ungaphangeli.
Yes.
But now, iyachinja because 8 hours, Monday to Friday, you are employed. You have got to provide services, not in the house, but somewhere in the workplace.
Sure.
That's a huge implication. Now, you have got to say, we are minus 8 hours a day. Now, what are the, and then how then do we relate with one another? Worst of all, if
Yes.
we are not going to stay together. So the key thing is that a relationship is never static because a relationship thrives in a dynamic environment. So you have got to say, we are where we have not been. What are the implications of us being where we have not been? Who should we be to one another? And how can we sail together through?
Sure.
And that's the only way you can survive a crisis. It's just like besingachatanga. We were in a relationship, but now we are married. We had no children before, but now we have children. We had less responsibilities before, but now we have more responsibilities. So a relationship is secretary requires an adjustment according to the demands of the time.
Sure.
And that's the secret of sustaining a healthy relationship, regardless of a crisis.
Sure. Dada, there's so much more that we're going to unpack. You're shedding so much insight. But you know, in the comment section as well, people are responsive. So after the break, Dada, we'll tackle this topic a bit more. But let's go for a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
KNR is on the pulse of local and international content, offering audiences an opportunity to be part of the global conversation in a fast-changing and increasingly digitized world of communication. Headquartered in East London, Eastern Cape, we broadcast nationwide and stream to the world. As the day breaks, social crossover with Loza Wamvene touches the airwaves, pregnant with compelling content.
We talk about everything that you need to know in the morning. It will help you prepare for the day in a special way. KNR is aina media masbeneti.
In an increasingly digitized and global economy, businesses and state entities are under pressure to stand out and create awareness about key offerings and new services. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's do radio according to you. KNR is on the pulse of local and international content, offering audiences an opportunity to be part of the global conversation in a fast-changing and increasingly digitized world of communication. Headquartered in East London, Eastern Cape, we broadcast nationwide. KNR is on the pulse of local and international content, offering audiences an opportunity to be part of the global conversation.
Welcome back to Sunday Sessions with Gugu. Before the break, we were unpacking the art of fostering healthy relationships with Dada Khaya Mapinda, and he hasn't gone anywhere. He is still here right now. Before the break, Dada, we delved into the romantic relationship side of things and how the pandemic could have affected those. Now, can we please touch on other relations, let's say platonic relations or family relations as well? You know, I'm thinking we were, as families, also now in a small space together, you know, lockdowning together or even at a distance. So how has the pandemic really also played a part within those non-romantic relationships, if I can put it that way?
We have seen couples going through tough times.
Yes.
Because of what affected them directly. I'll give you an example. One woman had a husband who fell sick. And during this pandemic, the ambulance was not allowed to carry a family person to accompany the sick one.
Yes.
So the ambulance came, picked up the husband to the hospital. Now, and that was the end.
Sure.
This lady tried to phone the hospital she thought the husband had been taken to, only to find that the husband's name was not appearing in the register of this hospital. So we had to look for people that work in that hospital to assist us in locating the husband of this woman, only to find that beds were full. So he was kept in a temporary place for a few days. And his name did not appear because he had not been admitted into a ward. This woman suffered from not knowing where the father of her children was. Secondly, she was not allowed to visit the father of her children. The worst part, the father passed on. Now, after passing on, COVID-19 funeral protocol.
Oh, Dada.
You see?
Yeah.
You see the coffin wrapped, carried by men with different...
like hazmat.
Yes.
Suit and everything, yeah.
The corpse does not have to come home. We don't have to come closer.
Sure.
Right to the cemetery. Everybody at a distance.
Yeah.
So it's a drama. It's something unheard of. Now, emotionally, it affects you, even if it's your relative. Now, that's the challenge. So we had to do a lot of counseling. So we are saying, therefore, the impact a pandemic in nature yayo has affected us emotionally. It exposed us to what we have never thought we would be part of. Then the second thing, ileba iye yasivalela endlini. One woman said, hi, President makavule upresident. Umyeni wami kaloku bedla ngokuhamba abuye ngamaxesha akhe eziselele. Hayi ngoku sezingqondweni lonke ixesha. And xa ebuyile sincela imali bengabuzi change ubethi thatha pha ngoku uyayibuza ba uzoyisaphi le mali iphi kanti bendithatha nje esipajini wandicele i20 rand ndifika esipajini kukho i200 uhamba ne200 because kuye under the influence i20 rand ne200 they look the same abuya angafuni change because bendicele i20 rand yokuthenga isonka ndingabuyi nechange ndibe ndiqonda uba ndizawusese ndifake namaqanda yonke into uthi ngoku all of a sudden I'm not used to this. Le lockdown yenze into yoba andenze umyeni wami ndibe accountable. I have to give account on things that I am not used to. Number two, ulapha ngoku. I'm not used to cooking 3 meals a day. Now all of a sudden there must be breakfast, there must be lunch, there must be supper. Because this man has got nowhere to go. So first bangoku ke, relationship had to adjust without prior preparation.
Sure.
That's what made other relationships to suffer. Reluctance to adjust. We could not adjust into bangoku sizoba kunye 24/7. Now, that's another challenge esibenayo. And thirdly, isenze sakufutshane sabonana ii-weaknesses ebezikhavarishwe ukungahlali kunye ngenxa yokuba bhizi omnye uphangele nam ndiphangele sibuya sesizowulala. So now all of a sudden siphumile kwi-normal routine.
Sure.
Sikwi-routine ye-lockdown, and kule routine we are told so many people have been infected, so many people have passed on. That's it. So i-routine yethu ngoku siphumile.
Sure.
Saba suffocated.
Sure.
Now again, that's a challenge. Now another challenge ke ngoku, andithi ngosi locked down, masithi ke ngoku lo mntu lona had multiple relationships, either outside marriage or a mixer. Utshatile ngapha unabanye abantu. Naba abanye abantu bangaphandle bayanqonqoza uphi because nabo kaloku phaya bayacheck uba usaphila. Now uyabuza uma ayibo bobani abakucheck uba usaphila because siphelele mna nabantwana silapha nawe. So khona bane-concern naye ngapha une-concern but at least abandihleli nabo lo usaphila. So kube kwi-new discoveries because we were in a world of uncertainty. Nezinto ebezifihlakele successfully libe lide ithuba zavela. Uyabona?
Yeah.
So now we got exposed.
Sure.
Hidden things got revealed.
Sure.
Now it affected. Now ngenxa yeso sizathu ngo post the lockdown siba siku level 1 kunamatyala ke ngoku sisi. Kunamatyala ke ngoba khawuyichophise because uzawuthi umuntu andilapha andindawo andimazi laa mntu. Abe sithi umuntu but uyakwazi laa mntu. Uyakubuza bunjani. And nawe uyamphendula. So ke kunamatyala ke ngoku endingathi zii-cases ze-COVID. Ayo COVID
In itself.
Yes, ayo COVID-19 ngoba ngoku ku-2020.
Sure.
But zizinto ezize ne-COVID.
Sure.
Now it's a plethora of challenges as a result of COVID-19.
Sure.
Unfaithfulness, untruthfulness, personal weakness, we got exposed.
Sure.
Now the question is, how do we put things together? Because it's in the disintegration phase.
Yes.
That's the challenge that we have.
Sure. We've got a question, which I hope we could just delve into from one of our viewers, Uluzuko, saying, how can we encourage people in relationships to be more responsible for their actions? Popular consensus always seems to take away from people owning up for their behavior. And so when they misbehave, they would blame things like alcohol, for instance. So how does one take responsibility for their actions within a relationship?
But the first question is accountability part of our relationship standard? Because if we have not entrenched it, how do we expect each other to be accountable?
Sure.
Is responsibility a norm that underpins this relationship? Okanye, remember, abantu, I don't know abantu, yabona i-relationship, mhlambe abantu need to be taught what do we mean by relationship.
Yeah.
Because abantu bangena ezintweni be-underprepared. Number one, thinking that they are prepared. Secondly, bangena kwi-relationship nabantu abangeyo type yabo, becinga uba bayi-type yabo. Now all of a sudden afumana uba lo muntu othi jonga anizukuxelela uba ndiyitheni imali eyam imali. Now you are holding this person accountable for the finances. Awuxelela uba it's my money. Now you are saying I want your phone, buthetha nobani. Athi look ifoni yam uneyakho, I don't touch yours. So you cannot hold me accountable to you unless we have embedded accountability, responsibility, transparency, ownership.
Sure.
Ibe part and parcel of our relationship, so that I don't hold you accountable. You become accountable. Ngoba uyayazi ba sihleli ngokuba sikwazi ukuthi own up things. Above all,
Sure.
it takes two things to own up things. It takes a level of maturity from the person who should own up things. But it takes an attitude of the person I have to give account to.
Yeah.
Let me say this again.
Kayiphinde tata.
If i-attitude yakho
Yes.
i-risk uba ndi-account, so it means I want to own it up, but your attitude is not conducive.
Sure.
Ndizawuzifaka engxakini xa ndikuxelela inyaniso. Kungcono ndikufihlele ngoba xa, for example, when people defend themselves, it is not simply because they do not know what has happened, but it is simply because unalento ethi uba ngakhe ayazi sobe kwazi ukuphila nayo uyawusola ndixela ngale nto endivuse ebusuku esithi I don't believe it. Ngawuvuke uyenzile lento.
Yo.
Ubuyenzela ntoni? But the question is, you wanted me to tell.
Yes.
Now I've told you, but now you want me to account for what I have already accounted for.
Sure.
In other words, you are much more prone to problems than being solution oriented. We asixoxe into sidlule unochuku funa uyathanda uba sihlale emgxobhozweni.
Hey.
Because remember, abantu ayikho into embi emvisa kamnandi umuntu.
Sure.
But we will not tell. No, there is no mistake which is always a success. It has a form of success.
Sure.
But in reality, no mistake will make a person to succeed in life.
Sure.
So therefore, two things then, in a nutshell. It takes maturity for me to own it up, but your attitude is critical in establishing a conducive atmosphere. I must feel safe ngokuxelela inyaniso. Funeka uqale ukujonga apha ebusweni. Ndifumanise uba tyhini you are ready
Sure.
to receive
Yes.
the truth. But xa ndikubona into yoba ufuna ukuyiva but afuni nokuyiva.
Hey.
So you must convince me
Hey, tata.
into yoba you number one, you don't want to punish me. You want to assist me. You want to partner with me. Remember, let me give you a scripture in Ecclesiastes chapter number 4. Solomon, I'm not going to dwell deep on it. He says, 2 is better than 1. And then he begins to explain why 2 is better than 1. He explains the advantage of getting married. But he says, when one is down,
Yes.
the one who is standing will pull the one up.
Yes.
Now, you are saying I must account. It means I am down. But mandibone impawu zokuba wena uzandisusa. You are going to pull me up. But as long as I am down and ufuna undicishile lapha phansi ngexesha ndizawuzama ukuxhathisa ndiqonda uba noba ndifuna ndikhase xa ndilapha phambi kwakho yokuphakama phaya. Because I know but it is not in you to lift up a person who has been knocked down by his life challenges. It is in you to say, be on your own. Why did you do that? So your attitude is critical in influencing me or the level in which I can own it up, your attitude.
Sure. That it's been such a great evening, you know, and I think if it obviously wasn't for English, we would go on and on
Surely,
and on.
yes.
But I thank you so much for the contribution, you know, and Nyani Noluzuko responding to the way you answered the question. Ukubana siyabulela, Tata. You are shedding some truth and some
Yes.
light into
Yes.
everything. So I have to thank you so much, Wetu, for coming onto the show this evening.
Thank you even to the viewers and listeners.
Yes, yes.
I appreciate having this dialogue
Sure,
with
Tata.
you.
Enkosi
Thank
kakhulu.
you very much.
All right, okay, that was Utatu Kaya Mapinda. After the break, we have our musical guest, and we hope that you, as our SSG family, have taken something there with regards to fostering healthy relationships. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
KNR is on the pulse of local and international content, offering audiences an opportunity to be part of the global conversation in a fast-changing and increasingly digitized world of communication. Headquartered in East London, Eastern Cape, we broadcast nationwide and stream to the world. KNR Drive with Sizwe and Asha drives you to wherever in style. Their vibrant energy and passion with what they do is their winning formula.
KNR Drive is an afternoon drive that educate, entertain, inspire, and inform you. And keep listeners updated all the time about traffic, music, technology. This show will
Our musical guest this evening is Umthanda Manyange, a mother, writer, singer, songwriter, and arts activist from Mdantsane. As an academic, Umta has obtained a Master of Arts in Creative Writing from Rhodes University. As a poet, she has had her poetry appear on platforms including New Coin, Kini, and South of Samora. Her interest on musical archives and maps has led her to a collaboration titled Batyunjiwe with Umakhulu Madosini. The project is a series geared towards facilitating intergenerational conversations between musicians of the old and the new. Umta is a co-curator at One Shushu Day movement on an alternative music series titled Alt BLK Continua that began in 2018. She has performed alongside Umsaki, Usibusile Khaba, Umle, and Nguni Relic. She's also on the process of workshopping music for upcoming EP titled Nzulu. The multi-talented creative activist joins us in studio this evening to speak about her craft. Hello, darling.
Hi.
That is quite the intro. Oh my word, I was getting tongue-tied.
Is that even me?
That is you, sweetheart. That is all you. You're looking lovely, and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's only a pleasure. It's only a pleasure. So your creativity is so vast, and I really appreciate that about you so much. You know, what is it about the arts in particular, you know, that just drew you in? Because I think you bare your soul in terms of the introduction and the things that you've been involved with. But what is it about the arts?
I think it comes from my childhood because Utata is like a music collector.
Sure.
So all my life I've been listening to like African jazz music. So I think when I started singing in primary school, it was just like a natural thing for me to do. I think it was just the familiarity of it, and also from listening to other artists, I kind of found my own voice and how to, you know, express how I feel about life, about the world, about politics.
Sure.
You know, and yeah, I think that's
Sure.
was just how it happened.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Creative writing, that's so intriguing to me, you know. What is it about creative writing that sets it apart from any other type of writing, if I can put it that way? Yeah.
So I really appreciate this question because I think it's not really about what sets it apart, but what actually makes it a part of everything else. Because I think creative writing and poetry kind of informs most of the other arts, because like a song, its structure is mostly poetic, but you wouldn't say, oh, I'm writing a poem, because you're writing a song. And I mean, you need creative writing to write a script of any kind.
Yes.
And to write anything, you know, you need kind of creative writing.
Sure.
And it's kind of been set apart and put aside, but I don't think it should be there. I think it should be an all-encompassing part of all the arts.
Cool.
Feel that way.
And your work as a poet, you know, let's speak about your poetry journey, you know, and the platforms in which you've been able to share your poetry on.
So I wrote for a while. Like, I think I started writing in like 2010. And so I wrote and wrote and wrote all these years. And then I think in 2016, I attended the National Arts Festival in Grahamstown. And a friend of mine was a part of this program at Rhodes, which is the Master in Creative Writing. And they were holding poetry sessions like the whole week. So I would go there every day and I'd be like, okay. So there are people like me in the world. So I kind of saw that place and those kind of writers as like a home, you know. So I applied, and that's how I got in and kind of learned the publishing side of things, about how it works. And I think at the moment I'm in the process of, you know, still writing and collecting more poems so I can publish.
Yes.
At some point.
Speak it into existence.
So I can publish soon.
Yes.
Soon, hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure thing. Also, I mean, to add on, I feel like each question is like an addition. Like, how do you do all of this stuff? You're also very at the forefront of, you know, healing. You have a project or market in which you've started called Sipile, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about that initiative and that project.
Okay, Sipile Communal Market was born from, you know, like going to like outside events in East London is like has been really a nice experience, because I think the artists in East London are like pretty dope, you know. So the last like proper, you know, outdoor event I went to was the garden sessions.
Okay.
And there hasn't been really like a market kind of vibe or feel in Tanzania.
Oh, okay, sure.
So I think that's where, you know, Sipile came in, because I'm doing it from home and, you know, it's a nice backyard. So I also felt with like a lot of conversations that are going towards like healing and like growing our own gardens and, you know, thrifting and other things. I just felt like, you know, creatives need like a space like that in order to exchange, like, okay, how do I germinate seeds? You know, how do I plant my own garden? So that we can kind of have conversations about being self-sustaining people and also support each other in our various businesses, because there are people who kind of deal in like organic shea butter, you know, fragrance oils, things that kind of facilitate all these like, you know, healing environment. And also the musical aspect was very important in like creating that space, because I believe that music kind of has this very, you know, healing component and property in it. So I felt like it's a needed space.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Or wanting to perform. That would be
jazz. It sounds amazing. So, what important thing for you to be a part of?
So archiving is like, let's say we decide to look at musicians in East London and the work that they do. So it would be a process of like recording that music or recording videos or in whatever form, and having like a place where it can be found, whether it's like a physical library where people can go and say, okay, I'm looking for Oda's music, I'm looking for Msake's music, I'm looking for Smusile or whoever in the country, where, you know, that music can be stored, where people can, you know, get whatever they need from it, and not particularly like on a CD or, you know. So I think archives are important in that aspect. There's a very big archive. I guess most musical institutions, like in universities, they do have some archives. There's one at Rhodes called ILAM, which is the International Library of African Music.
Okay.
So if you go there, like you'll find like an array of like music that was, let's say, recorded in the Transkei in the 1800s, let's say, and it's like. Omama abamaxhosa abanqokolayo abombelayo. So I think archives become important in the sense that we can, store information. We can pass information down to, the next generation. Because I think most of us are kind of having conversations with ourselves and how we create music, and it comes from somewhere. We don't just decide to be a musician today. Obviously, there has to be like omakulu, where you can learn and like, okay, fine. How are these things done? Because we went to multiracial schools and we kind of don't chill with omakulu, where and things like that. So there's a lot of loss that's kind of happened over time, and with documenting, our stories, our music. At least we can have something to, show our daughters. At least our daughters can say, "Oh, my mom."
Yes. Love that. And now, obviously, to delve more into your music, in particular, I mentioned that you're working on an EP. Let's talk about your musical journey. The process right now of navigating around the EP.
Okay, so my musical journey, I would say. Okay, the primary school singing was awesome. I was in the choirs, and then obviously I wrote the poetry, and then some poems started to sound like songs, and I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah.
And then with the poems come all these other different sounds. I think then at some point I started meeting like different musicians. Like at Forte, I started meeting Bali or Odwa, and we all started like hanging out and trying to listen to what was actually coming out.
Sure.
So I've been like playing with different people over time, and they've kind of given the music a lot of structure and and texture and feel, and it's given a lot of layer to even what I've been singing. So the workshopping process looks like playing with different people, kind of learning what structures I want with the songs. But I think sometimes when you're in the process of making something else is making itself in the process. Like while I'm workshopping the music for the EP, I've been getting like a lot of other songs that almost sound like an interlude to Unzulu, so I might just be releasing 2 projects at the same time.
Wow, yes, girl. Yes, queen.
So I don't know.
Sure.
It's a fusion of like a lot of sounds.
Sure.
Definitely the traditional side, because ndikhulele apho, like umntwana says lalini, and like lali is like my comfort zone.
Sure.
So ndiyafuna ukombela, ndiyafuna to be the modern girl who's listened to alternative other stuff. So it's like it's going to be a fusion of
Love that.
A couple of things.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you'll be performing for us. I'm so excited about that. Before we get on to the performance, I want you please to tell our viewers, how they can get a hold of you, as well as obviously when the music is out, they'll see on your social media platforms, wherever the case may be, but how can people interact with you?
So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, the Twitter,
All of them.
all of the things. Facebook, Umta Namanyange. Instagram, Umta_Namanyange. And you can find some of my music on SoundCloud, Umta Namanyange. And some stuff on YouTube. I think there's some things there.
Okay.
And yeah, I guess when the things come out,
Yes.
I will definitely
Absolutely.
be announcing
We'll stay
it
tuned.
on my
Social
media.
Got you. After the, thank you so much. Actually, I'm so excited. I'm
Thank
already
you.
linking to the
Me
break.
too.
because I
I'm
want
like,
people to
okay.
see it. Thank you, Sono-san, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All righty then. Umta will be performing for us after the break. You don't want to go anywhere. You are still tuned in to Sunday Sessions with Gugu.
True Prop, connecting people and property. Situated in the seaside town of Gugu in East London, Kings Mall Shopping Centre is a one-stop shopping destination for local visitors and residents. Featuring ample parking, easy access to all shops and other services, the mall offers an ideal mix of tenants including retailers, fast food outlets, medical suites, a pharmacy as well as various restaurants. A lock-up and go storage facility is also situated at the mall. We still have space for you for immediate occupation. Sign up now and only start paying in January 2021. Terms and conditions apply. At number 57A Western Avenue, Vincent, East London, we have a commercial property with 322 to 362 square meters. These impressive offices are located over 3 floors and include breakout areas, extendable meeting rooms, and modern finishes. In Arcadia, we have industrial warehouse with 217 to 496 square meters. This prime manufacturing space is situated in the busy industrial corridor of Arcadia. The unit would ideally suit light industrial-based operations. For more information on these specials, visit our website on www.trueprop.co.za or call us on 084 600 3840. Offering audiences an opportunity to be part of the global conversation in a fast-changing and increasingly digitized world of communication. Headquartered in East London, Eastern Cape, we broadcast nationwide and stream to the world. Canal Drive with Sizwe and Asha drives you to wherever in style. Their vibrant energy and passion with what they do is their winning formula.
Canal Drive is an afternoon drive that educate, entertain, inspire, and inform you. And keep listeners updated all the time about traffic, music, technology. This show will definitely drive you home. Believe me.
In an increasingly digitized and global economy, businesses and state entities are under pressure to stand out and create awareness about key offerings and new services. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's do radio according to you.
Timlela Umtungo buntu bakho Tongoli Ite Little yeah. Little yeah. Amanzi asingathu umhlaba balizwa ngawo amathafa saqenqeleka sonke isilwane satyhileka ngentwasahlobo isithandwa sesibhakabhaka inyanga yaziqhekeza yakhula yavala mehlo Tongoli Lite Little Tongo yeah, 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 yeah,
KNR is on the pulse of local and international content, offering audiences an opportunity to be part of the global conversation in a fast-changing and increasingly digitized world of communication. Headquartered in East London, Eastern Cape, we broadcast nationwide and stream to the world. KNR Drive with Sizwe and Asha drives you to wherever in style. Their vibrant energy and passion with what they do is their winning formula.
KNR Drive is an afternoon drive that educate, entertain, inspire, and inform you. And keep listeners updated all the time about traffic, music, technology. This show will definitely drive you home. Believe me.
In an increasingly digitized and global economy, businesses and state entities are under pressure to stand out and create awareness about key offerings and new services. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's do radio according to you. CombatCovid-19.Africa is a collaborative digital platform developed for digital volunteers, industry, data donors, NGOs, government, civil society, and other stakeholders across Africa and the diaspora.
Thank you to all the digital volunteers who have built Combat COVID-19 as we mark exactly 6 months from the day we started. Thank you, colleagues. We really appreciate your work. And this is, again, part and parcel of volunteerism in Africa, part and parcel of being non-profit, and part and parcel of us, contributing to the continent that we all love. And this work has been done by people from all corners, speaking all different languages, from Arabic to French, Portuguese, English, Swahili. Everybody worked together to build this platform. It is what we call VAS, Volunteer as a Service. We sincerely appreciate everybody's work in creating this, both men and women who have really worked hard, even to convene the symposium. That really was one of the most outstanding events that we have seen in the African continent. Continue to build the platform. We really are very excited. This is your platform built by Africans, for Africans, for the benefit of Africa's NGOs, civil society, startups, SMMEs, business, government, and almost everybody has a right to use this platform. As we have said, it is Creative Commons platform built on open source. Thank you, enjoy, and let's continue to build and get more people to use this platform.
KNR is on the pulse of local and international content, offering audiences an opportunity to be part of the global conversation in a fast-changing and increasingly digitized world of communication. Headquartered in East London, Eastern Cape, we broadcast nationwide and stream to the world. As the day breaks, social crossover with Loza Wamvene touches the airwaves, pregnant with compelling content.
We talk about everything that you need to know in the morning. It will help you prepare for the day in a special way. KNR ishishis ainamija masbeneti.
In an increasingly digitized and global economy, businesses and state entities are under pressure to stand out and create awareness about key offerings and new services. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's do radio according to you.
Sunday. We thank you so much for bearing with us on the time. But before the ad break, we had Umtana Manyange, which was a beautiful performance. But as the Keith Ngesi radio family and as the Keith Ngesi digital TV family, we would like to extend our heartfelt condolences to the Bulumani for the passing of the communication head from the education department. It was announced earlier on today that Mr. Bulumani was no longer with us. We do send our heartfelt condolences to his family. What a great loss it is indeed. But on to the program of the day. We have our DJ LT booked and busy playing at Monty's afterwards. He's here with a headline set, so do enjoy as we end off a great show. What an amazing show it has been. Thank you so much for joining us this evening and understanding how it is that we just had to extend today because of how special this evening has been. I'd like to thank my studio guest, Mr. Kaya Mapinda. Thank you so much for shedding some insight on how it is that we can foster healthy relationships in the pandemic and post the pandemic as well. I'd also like to thank my musical guest, the beautiful Umtana Manyangi. Thank you so much for rendering such a lovely performance for us. And of course, we are back next week, same time, same place. LT and I are out. Hey.
Now the light has left the dark I feel when I reach for him.